The last step in your preparation is assessing the situation you're in. Now that you know who the players at the table are and what's important for them, you must think about what the environment of the negotiations is going to be like. There are several elements to determining the negotiations context. First, you must understand the relationship you have with the other party. A negotiation can be a one-shot interaction or be a long-term relationship, which is bound to open more avenues for conversation that repeat on a regular basis. If you can define the extent to which the relationship with others at the negotiation table is important to you in your future, you can inform your grand strategy and approach it with certain confidence. Think of it this way. If you do not think about the importance of a relationship, you risk entering the negotiations too aggressively and win a battle which will later cost you the war. You stand to benefit a great deal from considering how your relationship with the counterparty may grow and if trust needs to be maintained over time. Sometimes, it is better to concede at an early stage of a longer partnership to ensure future contracts' success. Moreover, people in business build a reputation with time. As Warren Buffett said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy one. What you do when negotiating with others remains on your track record. If you have a history of abusing counterparts in a weaker negotiating position, this may also reflect on people's willingness to do business with you. You also must think about possible conflicts that might arise. Is it possible you and your bargaining partner won't reach a consensus because of clashing beliefs or opinions and values, or because you are negotiating over scarce resources and there is a clash of interests? This is a very important consideration to have, because often people who have differing ideologies are unable to walk past them and rarely reach a win-win. There is something you can do, however, if you find yourself in this situation. Attempt to steer the conversation towards interests, even if this is still rocky territory. Negotiators who are in dispute over interests are a lot more likely to make value-added trade-offs and end up in agreement than are those in conflict over values. Okay, excellent job so far. Please don't forget that, as anything, negotiation processes have time constraints. Of course, all negotiations will have some sort of a time frame, but you must pay attention to what the cost of the time spent is. If time is very expensive for you or your bargaining partner, you must expect pressure to close a deal as soon as possible. It is commonly assumed that being pressured for time is a weakness and a disadvantage. Hence, any time-related costs should be kept secret. This is not necessarily the case. First, a deadline for one party is also a deadline for all negotiators. If the clock runs out, everyone at the negotiating table must go with their BATNAs. And second, when a deadline draws nearer, the amount of concessions and compromises negotiators make grows rapidly. And usually this happens on both sides of the table, which makes perfect sense, right? Time pressure for one is time pressure for all. Something else to mention while on the topic of time horizon. This is the time distance between the negotiation event and the consequences of the agreement that was reached. There is an unwritten law regarding the time horizon, which states, the longer the distance between those two events, the more likely it is to reach a good win-win. So, if I run a telecommunications firm and start negotiations for a contract renewal as soon as possible, the chances of obtaining a better outcome are higher. The more time top-level managers have, the more likely it is they will Remember, the Pareto rule rings very, very true when it comes to reaching a successful agreement. 80% effort during preparation, 20% hard work while the negotiations are taking place. In the next lesson, we will talk about types of negotiation, starting with distributive negotiations. This is the so-called fixed pie perception of what's up for grabs. Join us then and learn why it is not the most optimal line of negotiating. Thanks for watching.